Yesterday, when I was young. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now, why couldn't I have done it that way when I was trying to try out for Carousel? I started off all off key. Ugh. That was 42 years ago. Get a grip. Yeah. Maybe 44 years ago, actually. Who cares? Yesterday. Don't you miss the good old days? I don't know why we like this. Why do we miss the good old days? Hark, I hear coffee. Yes, I do. I'll be right back. But that's what I'm talking about. You know, when I say public speaking, I would get all screwed up and frightened, and then I couldn't speak, I couldn't perform well, I couldn't sing on key. Ooh, I was young. Go figure. So anyway, I was thinking last night when I woke up at 1:44 in the morning. Ooh, I thought to myself, maybe I should get up and just make my video now. And then I says to myself, no, stay in bed. Then I said to myself, but I've read everywhere that you need to get up if you can't sleep within 30 minutes. And then the other part of me said, but I'm just too damn tired to get up. So I listened to some videos of other people. What were their names? Why can't I remember anything? It was van travelers. I was listening about van travelers of women, you know. And there was one, well, there was a young one that was about 24. Then there was one that was maybe about 30-ish. And I can't remember their name. Then there was this newer one, and she interviewed a woman named Sherry with a CH, and I'm pretty sure she was the Sherry from that documentary Without Bound. Sure looked like her. Kinda. Or maybe I'd seen her somewhere. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So I'm just listening to people, you know, thinking about how uncomfortable van life probably really is. I mean, we lived on the road, but I was young and I was tough. Plus, we had money after shows, and we could either go to a hotel for a few days, or we rented vacation places, or we camped and set ourselves up for the summer so we were in the same spot, you know. Campgrounds have gone through the roof. What did I pay at Lily Bay last September? Holy cow, it was like $37 a night. Motel 6 used to be $8, and the kids were free, and they'd leave the light on. Thanks, Tom. Didn't he die? Oh. Anyway, so I was laying there early in the morning, realizing why. Yes, there was a reason why I was up. I've been eating too much last few days. Comfort eating, boredom eating, just plain eating. Stop it. Why? You can't even taste it, Nikki. And yet you'll eat it anyway. And then you want to eat something else. I have been struggling with this for so many years. I don't even know how many. What causes us to do these stupid things? Then my stomach hurts. And I'm like, I ate too much. I'm trying to lose weight, not gain it. Damn it. The struggle. Well, Michael called me last night because he was on his way to work, and God bless him. Sometimes he calls me before he, before he picks up his first ride, and he was pumping gas, and we were talking. Excuse me. We were talking, and I told him, I'm eating too much. He understands he struggles so hard with his weight too. And he said, Mom, you can always start over. You can get right back on that again. You're right. Today's a new day. I'm going to start over. And I'm not going to do what I did the last few days. I'm going to figure out whatever the hell is eating me, because I'm eating it. I guess what's eating me is uncertainty and fear. It's scary getting older. It's scary losing your spouse, who was like 60% of your income or more at times. When he was well. I mean, I didn't get paid for a lot of the work I did for him when we had our antique business. But I mean, you get paid in other ways. You get a home and children, you get things and times and fun, and add adventure. It's so scary to venture alone. I think I understand now why certain people I know no sooner had their relationship broken up, but they jumped right on somebody else. I always kind of scoffed at the thought and the idea, but I think I understand why, because two are better than one. Especially with hyperinflation. Thinking about the price of food, the price of utilities, the price of rent, the price of trying to have a car. Go to a food bank. If you knew what the food banks were like here, you see, I live in a town, and I say Tampa. It's not Tampa, okay? It's a very up-and-coming town now, though. But it's always had a high percentage of homeless. Or very, very poor. And I just have a feeling in my heart that places like where I live, where there are a lot of poor and they can't keep their places up, just have that feeling that we're not going to be here that long. I think my coffee, my cowboy coffee, is brewed enough. Let me go pour it and throw some sugar in it. I'll be back. If I only had $1 million, oh, I would fly the sky. Whatever. If I only had $1 million, why? Why can't I be a millionaire? I worked my ever-loving butt off. Why? So when I was a little girl, we lived at 4th Street. That was a place we used to ride our bikes around down in the basement on a rainy day. But in the summertime, sometimes in the afternoon, we'd go over to my mother and say, can we go to the Seacoast store? That meant, can we have a quarter each and go get a shitload of junk food? Oh, I mean, a ton. Oh, the good old days. So when she had enough money, she would give us each a quarter. Now make sure, she said, you bring something back for Joey, who was my littlest brother, when he was older and he could have candy. The good old days. A ring ding was 5 cents. And it was the size of my frickin' head, okay? I'm not kidding. Not this head, but, you know, a 4-year-old head. Frickin' thing was huge. 5 cents. Or you could get I think it was like a 4-pack or a 5-pack of Drake's cupcakes. Am I mistaken? It wasn't the 3 you get today. And they were big and full of cream. Oh, God. No wonder I love to eat. Penny candy. It wasn't just 1 for a penny. Some of them were 10 for a penny, or even 15 for a penny. We'd come home with that little bag, that little brown bag, and it was stuffed. Plus, we'd have a Coke in our hand or a popsicle. Those were 5 cents, too. I loved Coke. I loved popsicle. They had 7-Up popsicles. They had banana popsicles. They had root beer popsicles. And my mother always wanted root beer barrels, or those little strawberry candies that were all wrapped up and it looked like it had a green stem. And I loved those little ice cream cones with the marshmallow whipped around on top. It was a little crunchy, the marshmallow, but inside was softer, you know? Not like a marshmallow, it was different. Less creamy and more bite. Candy cigarettes. They were all white and chalky and powdery, and you'd roll them in the paper and then you go, and a poof of white smoke came out of them. Then you'd take that wrapper off and eat them. Or those, pixie sticks with the powdery sugar crap in there that's supposed to taste like a flavor. And what else was I thinking of? Candy necklaces. Oh my God, why did they taste so good? I can just taste it in my mind right now. Each little round ring of splendid sugary wonder was a flavor. Yes, a flavor. Sweet and flowery and fragrant. Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. Sugar. It's what's for dinner. Not really, but back then it was. And I'd share. I'd want my mother and Joey to have some. We'd spread it all out on the table. Except for my brother Philip, who would run off to the treehouse because he was always extremely selfish. That's not the way to be. Those were good days. Those were fun times. Popsicles on a hot summer day. Playing in the sprinkler. We had this sprinkler that had 3 little arms and it swished around. I know other people had the more expensive, nicer ones, but that's the kind we had. It was old. I think it came from my grandfather's farm. And it would whoosh, 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 and it looked like little pennies. Little clear pennies falling from heaven. And we'd run and we'd play and we'd scream and we'd laugh and yell and play silly games like jumping over, and I don't know what game we'd call it. We didn't have a slip and slide. We were really poor. But we still had fun. One time, my cousin gave us a regular pool. It was those cheaper hard side with a liner, and the damn thing was leaking. Gave us a bad pool. I was so upset. Here I thought we were going to get to play in the nice cool water on a hot summer day, and my father worked hard to get that thing to stand and then to start filling it, and it was leaking. Sometimes Dad would take us to the beach, York Beach. I loved York Beach. It was so exciting. There was, oh my gosh, if we went to Short Sands, you could see all the carnival rides. One time, just him and I'm not sure why. Every now and then, Dad and I would just go somewhere together. He might go into town for errands, and I'd say, can I come? And we'd stop at this little diner for lunch. And I'd have a hamburger and Coke, as I always did, because I always loved the hamburger and Coke. One time, he got this soup, and it smelled so good, and I said, can I try that? And he let me. It was so good. I said, can I have one? But he said no, I could have some of his. It was corn chowder, and I'd never tried it before. My mother made very specific things, and usually it was every week we knew what we were getting. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, though sometimes Saturday was a surprise. But Sunday was always a roast. A horrible, overcooked, dry, eye of the round roast. Eye of the round. Don't ever get that. But the way she made that juice, the au jus, oh God, it was so good. Full of garlic and onion and just absolutely wonderful. And there were always potatoes in the pan. I wanted mashed potatoes. She always roasted potatoes in the pan. Dang it. And then that week, for leftovers, we'd have thinly sliced roast beef and thin sliced cold potato sandwiches. They were so good. Because, I mean, like, she put the old onion and garlic to it, and it was, ooh, so good. And then Arby's came along, Arby's roast beef, and it wasn't anything the way it is today, folks. If you're young and listening, Arby's was to die for. It was a real roast on a spit, going round and round, all juicy and sweating. And they'd slice you a nice big thick piece of thinly sliced all layers and throw it on this delightful little bun with Arby's sauce. Oh my God. It was like dying and going to heaven. Really. I don't think French fries came with that. I just remember the sandwich. And it was frickin' huge and delicious, and I had enough for dinner time, as well as lunch after church. Arby's roast beef. And A&W came along, A&W root beer, and it was a drive up, you know, like a car hop. Car hop was when, it's a lot like the Sonic of today. But they were all like that. And A&W had just come out with their amazing root beer in a chain of stores. And we got our first one in Dover. And we went to try their root beer because we heard it was amazing. But then we got other things too, like hamburgers and French fries, and it was all so delicious. It wasn't like today's, not at all. If you remember, leave me your memory in the comments. What else do I remember about being young? So many wonderful, wonderful things. The way they dressed things up for Christmas. There were little animatrons, like two children on a seesaw. And Santa. Ho, ho, ho. And what else? Just all kinds of little scenes, little people peeking out of little houses. These were in the storefronts. Amazing. Especially in Boston. Ah, Boston. We're going to Boston. Yay, we're going to Boston. We get to walk in the Commons. We get to go on the swan boats. Do you think there are still swan boats? I bet it's about $40 to ride one. Back then I think it was a nickel or something. Maybe it went up to a quarter. Isn't that awful? The swan boats are a quarter. Highway robbery. Wow. The good old days. My mother never came to the beach with us. She had varicose veins when she got a little older. She hated wearing dresses after that. She always wore pants. She was so angry about it because she had been quite a beauty with beautiful skin and beautiful legs. I only have a little bit of vein in the back of my knee sticking up. I think Rachel has more. I guess it skipped me. It's probably like diabetes skips a generation. Mom didn't have diabetes, her mother did, and my brothers, I think 2 of them have it. I'm not sure about my oldest brother. Varicose veins, I worried about that. She was going to have the operation done, and my father was going to pay for it, but that's when he was doing better working in Ohio, but they said they'd probably come back, so she didn't have it done, but that was a long time ago in the 60s. I remember the unrest